Charles Eric McConaughey. His creative aptitude as an innovator, his skills as a market analyst, and his success in initiating the concept of the regional jet and following it through to test flight have greatly benefited aviation in Canada. Charles Eric McConaughey was born on April 8, 1927 in Edmonton, Alberta. He graduated with a BA-SC in Mechanical Engineering from the University of British Columbia in 1949. He attended Massachusetts Institute of Technology to obtain a master's degree in Aeronautical Engineering in 1950. He completed coursework towards a PhD at Stanford University in 1952, and while living in London, attended London University in 1953, where he studied elements of air law. In 1953, Eric McConaughey was hired by CP Air Vancouver as Assistant Director Flight Development. Here he served as an engineering and performance analyst when CP Air acquired the DC-6B and the Convair 240. He participated in airline service engineering and operations assignments associated with the introduction by CP Air of de Havilland's Comet, the world's first jet airliner. He returned to Canada in the fall of 1954 to work on the Bristol Britannia operations, including simulation flights of the turboprop airliner over polar routes. McConaughey moved to Montreal in 1958 to become sales engineering manager for Canadair Limited. His responsibilities included sales engineering, operations engineering, market planning, and contract administration on all commercial products. During his 9 years at Canadair, where he rose to VP Marketing and Product Support, he was directly involved in development and marketing of the CL-540, the CL-41 Tudor, the CL-4404 swing-tail cargo aircraft. He was also in charge of marketing the CL-91 Dynatrac Army XM-571, the CL-89 surveillance drone, and the CL-84 Dynavert, a tilt-wing aircraft that could fly conventionally, tilt, climb and descend vertically, as well as hover. His last major project at Canadair was the concept development and marketing of the CL-215 water bomber. He was also responsible for product support, including spare parts, and training for over 400 personnel. Export licenses were often problematic. One example that McConaughey found to be a barrier was the CF-5 Freedom Fighter being sold in Brazil. This prompted his entry into consulting. In 1967, Eric McConaughey left Canadair to form his own consulting firm, Aviation Planning Services Limited, in Montreal. As president, he was responsible for the worldwide activities of the company. Over a period of 20 years, APS performed hundreds of separate aviation studies for clients in the airline industry and was directly involved with the planning and development of approximately 100 airports in various countries. In 1982, APS sponsored a round-the-world record-breaking flight using a Cessna 210, a Class C piston aircraft. The total distance covered was 19,855.37 nautical miles. Airtime, 132.8 hours over 16 legs of flight. Average ground speed, 149.5 knots. The record still stands to this day, registered with the Fédération Aéronautique Internationale. In 1986, when Bombardier bought Canadair from the Government of Canada, he suggested to the company that it take Canadair's successful Challenger executive jet and stretch it into a passenger airliner. He referred to it as a regional jet, a name he registered in July 1986. During 1986-87, Canadair retained McConaughey's company to investigate the potential market for a regional jetliner. APS undertook a market projection using material from discussions with over 100 major and regional airlines, and based on sales of 400 to 500 aircraft at $15 million each by the year 2001. The preliminary design concept in 1987 was for a 50-passenger aircraft with a range of 1,600 kilometers and cruise speed of 785 kilometers an hour. In October of that year, the marketing work initiated by APS for the regional jet concept was accepted by Bombardier. McConaughey was invited to rejoin Canadair in 1988 to begin technical and marketing studies for the Canadair regional jet. He was the first employee hired for the RJ program, and APS provided the sales engineering requirements as they had up to that time. Eric McConaughey's responsibility as Vice President Marketing and Customer Support was to organize the marketing program, including sales, contracts, and customer service. He took the concept to the Farnborough Air Show in England in 1988 and found solid interest in the jetliner from, among others, Deutsche Luft Transport, which aimed to be the first customer at Canadair's launch. McConaughey sold 139 aircraft through letters of intent with deposits from 1989 to mid-1991, with a value of about $3 billion US. At that time, the APS forecast for the RJ program was sales of 436 aircraft over 10 years. That total has been greatly exceeded, with over 1,200 RJs already delivered to airlines around the world. The introduction of the RJ has been claimed by some to be one of the most significant events in the first 100 years of aviation. In 1991, following the RJ's successful test flights, McConaughey returned to his consulting company. In 1994, he formed a new company, Avplan Inc., to continue his consulting work in the aviation and aerospace industry, mainly in the US, Central America, and Europe. A few of his projects included assistance to a Costa Rican group in developing a new privatized air cargo terminal in San Jose, and a study of a new airport location for San Jose, the capital city of Costa Rica. At Dorval and Mirabel airports, Montreal, the development of a de-icer fluid collection and disposal system. The new Airbus 380, the largest passenger aircraft built to date, will require major changes at airports where it will be landing, and his company is studying the development of low-cost systems to control erosion at these airports. This study is ongoing. McConaughey was honored with the C.D. Howe Award in 1996 by the CASI for achievements in the fields of planning, policymaking, and overall leadership in Canadian aeronautics and space activities. McConaughey enjoys time with his family and is still involved in aviation after 52 years in the business. His brother, Grant McConaughey, who was president of CP Air, was inducted as a member of Canada's Aviation Hall of Fame in 1974, and Eric McConaughey now joins him as the first pair of siblings to be honored by the Hall. Charles Eric McConaughey was inducted as a member of Canada's Aviation Hall of Fame at ceremonies held in Edmonton, Alberta on June 4, 2005.